Okay, I want you to just picture this for a second. You wake up, it's a Tuesday morning, you go pour your coffee, you look out your back window, and instead of your lawn, you see a battlefield.
Right.
I'm talking mounds of dirt, 5 feet high, deep trenches, crisscrossing the grass like scars, and just chaos. It's the ultimate homeowner nightmare, isn't it?
It is. It's a visceral feeling, like a violation of your own space.
Exactly.
Mm.
And the fear isn't just the mess itself, it's the timeline. You see that hole in the ground and you think, well, there goes my summer. That's 3 months of living in a construction site.
Uh-huh.
But today we're looking at a stack of documents, guidelines, notes, case studies from the team at Prestige CT Excavation and Drainage that suggest this fear. It's actually based on a massive misconception.
It really is. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We are looking at drainage excavation, specifically how it plays out in the unique terrain of Connecticut, towns like Middlebury.
And we're going to prove that the whole destroyed yard phase is what?
Yeah.
The shortest part of the project.
It's the shortest, most fleeting moment of the entire process.
So we need to dismantle this timeline, but also I have to ask why everyone seems to be digging up their yards right now. It feels like there's this sudden surge. Is this just a trend or something else going on?
It is definitely not a trend. No, it's a response to a changing baseline. We've got data here from the National Climate Assessment, and it's pretty startling.
Okay.
In the Northeast specifically, the amount of rain falling in what they call very heavy events has increased by roughly 70% since the mid-20th century.
70%? Wait, 70? That's not a margin of error. That's a fundamental shift in the environment.
It is. So think about the typical Connecticut house. You've got a colonial built in, say, 1965, or a ranch from the 70s. The drainage systems they put in back then, or they put any in at all.
Right.
They were engineered for the weather of the 1950s, for gentle spring rains. They were absolutely not designed for the kind of deluge-level storms we're seeing now.
It's an infrastructure mismatch. You're asking a 1960s system to handle 2020's water volume.
It's like trying to run modern software on a computer from 30 years ago. It crashes.
And crashes here means water forcing its way through your foundation.
It means hydrostatic pressure building up, basement seepage, or the soil getting so saturated your turf literally suffocates. That's why you see the surge in excavation. It's not a choice anymore, it's an adaptation.
And Connecticut's terrain itself throws another curveball, doesn't it? We're not building on flat, sandy ground here.
Oh, far from it. In places like Middlebury, you're dealing with glacial till. It's rocky, it's hilly, the soil is compacted clay, water doesn't percolate down easily, it runs off.
So if you're at the bottom of a slope,
you are the catcher's mitt for the entire neighborhood's runoff.
That is a terrifying image. Okay, so the water's coming, the ground can't handle it, we have to dig. Let's go back to that war zone fear. You mentioned an iceberg analogy in the source material, which I found really interesting.
The iceberg analogy is perfect for this. When you see an excavator in a yard, you're seeing the tip of the iceberg, the visible 10%.
So the massive, invisible 90% happens
either before the machine even arrives or long after it's gone.
Let's talk about the bottom of the iceberg then, the planning phase. I think most people assume you just point at a wet spot and say, dig a trench right there.
And if you do that, you will fail 100%. Phase 1 is all on paper and on foot. It's site walks, topography mapping. They're doing the math.
The math.
How much water is coming off the roof? How much from the hill? What size pipe do we need to move that volume in a pea storm? If you put in a 4-inch pipe when you need a 6-inch, you've just wasted thousands of dollars.
And you're still going to have a wet basement.
Exactly. They're also figuring out where the water ultimately goes. You can't just pipe it to your neighbor's yard. That's illegal. You have to design a real outlet.
So while I'm inside stressing about the water, the work has technically already started. It's just happening on blueprints.
Correct. Which brings us to phase 2. The part everyone dreads, the active excavation, the digging.
The open wound on the property.
Yes. But here's the surprise in these Prestige CT notes. This phase is incredibly fast. We are talking days, maybe a week for a typical home, not months.
Days. Why so fast?
It's a safety mandate. OSHA has incredibly strict rules about open trenches. A trench is a hazard. Soil can collapse. And from a contractor's view, an open trench is vulnerable. If it rains, the walls slump, the bottom turns to mud, and you have to dig it all out again.
So the incentive is aligned. The contractor wants that hole closed just as fast as the homeowner does.
Precisely. The mantra is excavate, install, backfill. It's a tight, continuous loop. You don't open 500 feet of trench at once. You open a section, lay the pipe in stone, and close it right up.
So the war zone actually moves across the yard. The whole property is never destroyed at the same time.
Almost never. It's surgical.
Okay, that's a huge distinction. Now, before we get to the healing phase, we have to talk about the elephant in the room for Connecticut, the regulations. You mentioned permits, but there's a term in these documents that sounds terrifying. Inland wetlands.
Ah, yes, it is the phrase that strikes fear into developers, but for homeowners, it's just as critical. Connecticut has the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Act.
And this is where it gets sticky because I think most people assume if I'm not digging in the pond, I'm fine.
And that is the fatal error. It's not just the water itself, it's the upland review area. This is a buffer zone, usually 100 feet, sometimes more, from the edge of the wetland.
Wait, hold on. So if I have a swampy patch at the far back of my property and I want to dig a drain near my foundation 80 feet away on dry land.
You are legally in the review zone.
So I need the town's permission to dig on my own lawn 80 feet from the wet spot.
Yes, because subsurface water travels. If you change the drainage by the house, you are altering the hydrology that feeds that wetland. The town wants to ensure you're not sending silt or pollutants into the ecosystem.
Yeah, all connected. The water under my foundation is connected to the brook down the street.
Exactly. And this is the difference between a simple and a complex job. A simple job is high and dry. A complex one that triggers a commission hearing. It adds time to the schedule, but, and this is key, it doesn't add time to the digging.
Right. The excavator isn't idling in your driveway for weeks while the town votes.
No, it just means that invisible planning phase takes a bit longer.
There's another layer to this too, right? The notes talk about quantity versus quality.
It's a huge shift in philosophy. Back in the 80s, drainage was all about quantity. Get the water away from here. Fast. Pipe it, ditch it, dump it in the street.
The not my problem anymore method.
Exactly. But now, the standards are about quality and volume control. We don't just move the water. We want to treat it, slow it down so it doesn't cause erosion downstream. It's about being a good steward of the whole watershed.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty. Walk me through the actual physical process. Day one, the permits are approved. What happens?
Step one is the paint and flag show. You have to call 811, call before you dig. They come out and mark gas, electric, water lines. This is absolutely non-negotiable.
I'd imagine hitting a gas line would be bad.
It turns a drainage job into a disaster. The contractor is also marking their own lines, establishing the pitch. Water only moves downhill. They have to get that slope exactly right, or the system fails.
Precision work. Then the heavy machinery arrives.
Excavators, trenchers, they carefully strip the topsoil and save it. Then they dig. And here's where the quality of the contractor really shows up. It's in the bedding.
The bedding, like a mattress.
Sort of. You don't just throw the pipe in the dirt. You lay down a bed of crushed stone aggregate, then the perforated pipe, then more stone over the pipe. It's like a stone burrito.
A stone burrito. I like that. So why the stone? Why not just dirt?
The stone is the filter. It creates space so water can move freely into the little holes in the pipe. If you just buried the pipe in dense clay, those holes would clog instantly. The stone is the interface between the mud and the pipe.
That makes perfect sense. Now, these notes also warn about the sunken trench. I've definitely seen that, where you can see a dip in the lawn years later.
That's from improper backfilling. You have to backfill in lifts. You put in 6 inches of dirt, you compact it, then another 6 inches, and you compact it again.
Ah, so you don't just bulldoze the whole pile back in at once.
If you do that, it's full of air pockets. Over the next year, rain collapses those pockets, and that's your sinkhole. A good crew compacts as they go, so the ground is stable the day they leave.
And then there's the last step, which the notes call tuning. That sounds surprisingly delicate for this kind of work.
It is delicate. It's final grading. This is where the operator uses the machine, or even hand rakes, to sculpt the surface. They are terraforming your yard to make sure surface water sheets away from the house. They might create a gentle swale to guide the water.
So it's not just about the pipe underground, it's reshaping the geometry of the surface.
Correct. The grading does 50% of the work. You want to make gravity your best friend.
Okay, so the machine leaves, the noise stops, but the yard looks, well, it looks brown.
And this is phase 3, restoration, the healing phase. And this is where homeowner expectations can crash. The system is working perfectly, your basement is dry, but the lawn looks like a patchwork of straw and dirt.
The bad hair day phase.
Yes, and this is by far the longest phase. You cannot rush biology. Grass seed takes time, sod needs to knit. The construction is done in a week, but the aesthetic recovery might take a full season.
And this is where the homeowner actually has a job to do, right?
Absolutely. The contractor can spread the best seed, but if you don't water it, it dies. It's a partnership. You are nurturing the patient back to health.
Okay, so for the listener who's about to pull the trigger on this, what does their life look like during that intense week?
Well, you don't need to move into a hotel or anything, but you do need to manage the mud factor. It's a construction site. There will be noise at 7 a.m., there will be dust. And if it rains, there will be mud.
How do the pros manage the mud? I don't want my driveway ruined.
They'll use tracking pads, crushed stone at the entrance to scrub the truck tires, and silt fences, those black fabric barriers, to keep the mud contained. It's just good site hygiene.
What if pours rain during the dig?
Then everything stops. And this
Yeah.
is something that frustrates homeowners. They see the machines sitting silent and think they've been abandoned.
But you can't work in the mud.
You cannot compact wet soil. It's physically impossible. It just squishes like pudding. A good contractor will pause the job to protect your yard. A bad one will keep mucking around and ruin the soil structure.
So a silent excavator on a rainy day is actually a sign of competence.
Exactly. It's disciplined patience.
I really like the pro tip from the sources about the pre-construction walkthrough.
Crucial. You have to walk the site with the foreman beforehand, agree on the access route. You enter here, you turn here, you stay off the septic field. Define the limit of disturbance. It saves so much headache.
That's smart. Limit of disturbance.
Yeah.
Contain the chaos. Okay, zooming out. This is expensive, messy, stressful work. Why do we do it?
You do it because a house is a machine that interacts with the environment. The roof sheds water, the siding repels wind, and the foundation. It has to resist the earth.
And the drainage is the immune system.
I think that's a great way to put it. If the drainage fails, the machine starts to rot. Moisture breeds mold. Erosion undermines driveways. The nightmare of the torn-up yard is temporary pain for permanent gain. You're upgrading the machine to handle the new climate reality.
So you're not just fixing a puddle, you're protecting the asset.
And frankly, a dry basement adds more value to a home than almost anything else. It's functional equity.
So for the folks in Connecticut watching the forecast, seeing another big rain event coming,
I would say, fear the water, not the trench. The trench is a tool. The water is the enemy. Water damage gets worse every single year you ignore it. The trench is a week of chaos, and then it's gone.
that's the takeaway right there. Fear the water, not the trench.
Remember that 70% statistic. The world outside your window has changed. If your home's defenses haven't changed with it, you are vulnerable.
We've covered a lot of ground today. From the hidden planning phase to the stone burrito in the ground, it turns out drainage excavation is less about destruction and more about engineering a truce with nature.
A truce with nature, I like that.
Huge thanks to the insights from Prestige CT Excavation and Drainage for helping us decode this. It's one of those topics you hope you never need to know about, but when you do, you need to know it deep.
Absolutely.
And before we wrap, here's a thought to chew on. We spend so much time and money on the inside of our homes. But with the climate shifting, maybe the most important room in your house isn't a room at all. Maybe it's the dirt underneath it. Is your home built for the weather of 1950, or are you ready for 2030? Something to think about next time it rains. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Stay dry.